Hello, my literary luminaries, and welcome back. It is Thursday, which makes it Top 5 Thursday, and the topic for today was a little bit of a struggle of mine because I don't necessarily pay attention to these things, but the top 5 for this week are your top 5 favorite buzzwords. What if you see this word in the description of a book, what is guaranteed to get your attention? And I think this ended up being a lot more of what gets mentioned is in books that you will then read for me, as opposed to buzzwords, but I give it my best, so let's get started. Number one is, if you describe a book as edgy, I will probably at least pay attention to it. The problem is this one, perhaps, no pun intended, is that this can be a very double-edged sword, because in a lot of ways, either edgy works or it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it's awful. It's the girl with the curl on her forehead. When it's good, it's really, really good. And when it's bad, it's awful. But I like at least seeing what people think edgy is. And when edgy's done well, I absolutely love it. Just walking, the razor's edge of what's still considered couth or politically correct or what have you. It's an interesting word that can mean a lot of really cool things and can mean some unfortunate ones, but even if I don't read it, I'll at least pay attention to your synopsis. Number 2. Pretty much anything for number 2. If you say dystopic, apocalyptic, anything that indicates that the world as we know it has fallen to pieces, I don't care that the market's oversaturated with it. I love it. I love seeing what people do. I love seeing how they think it's going to fall. Doesn't really matter. I am guaranteed to pay attention if you say that your book takes place in a world like that. Granted, like my last one, it's led me to a lot of crap, but it's also led me to some really interesting books that I would not have necessarily found otherwise. Number 3. If at any point in your synopsis, in your blurb, or what have you, you say that something that is supposed to happen in the book is impossible, I'm paying attention. In many ways, I think it's almost a cop-out, because if you say, oh, so-and-so has to go on this impossible quest, well, if so-and-so's your main character, then it's not going to be impossible now, is it? Because that would make for a really boring book. But I like watching people beat the odds, and with many of these things, it can either go really, really well or go really, really poorly, and I like seeing where it falls. And besides, seeing someone do what everyone else in the book considers to be impossible, always fantastic. Love it. I'm reading a series of books at the moment that it's not that something's impossible, but simply she's doing things that have never been done at this speed, at that level. And I love it. I love watching everyone's reactions. I love watching her reaction. It's a lot of fun. So absolutely, tell me something is impossible and I want to watch the character prove you wrong. Number 4. Number 4 will come as a surprise to absolutely no one who knows me, but if you say that your book has angels in it, I'll probably read it. I have been a big fan of angels for a very, very, very long time. And that's unlikely to change. I found one of my favorite authors because I looked at her Kickstarter and went, hey, that's a book about angels. I want to read it. And I backed it, and I got the book, and I loved it. And you all know how often I talk about MCA Hogarth. So, angels, maybe it's because I grew up Christian, maybe it's because I like the symbology of it. I have no idea, but you throw angels in a book, chances are I'm willing to read it. And number 5. Number 5 is very closely related to number 4, in that if it is based on anything mythological, I like that kind of thing. And it really, really catches my attention because there's so many interesting myths and different ways to look at them, and people have interpreted them differently and done different things with it. It's such a wide variety of things that you can do, yet still working in a relatively small, confined area, because you're working, in many ways, it's almost like writing fanfic. You're working within an already established world, usually. I mean, you can take it into, our world, blah, blah, blah. You can do things with it, but you're still sort of working under a set of constraints. And I like seeing that kind of thing. I used to be a fanfic writer. I still am a fanfic writer. That's where I started. And so it's always going to be very near and dear to my heart. And I mean, come on. What part of my pen name is Orion? I'm big into mythology and always have been. So put in all those myths and I'm willing to read it. That has been my top 5. I have no idea. Am I like really dim? Okay, I'm a little more dim. Sorry. I keep my computer screen dim to, keep less light reflecting off my glasses, but let me see if I can't brighten up the room a little tiny bit. Okay, that's at least a little bit better. Sorry about that. Trying to manage time, and I still don't have any decent light in this room anywhere, so I have to make do. But those are my top 5 buzzwords. What kind of things do you want to see in if you pick up a book in Barnes & Noble or flip to it in your Kindle library and you read the description of the book, what kind of words do you want to see that really grab your attention and say, ooh, that book I want to try? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your opinions. But for now, I will bid you all adieu, and I will see you again on Tuesday. Bye! As a general rule, if you say that a book is edgy, I'll probably...